Chen stared at her reflection in the coffee shop window, her bare face flushed with embarrassment. No foundation to hide the freckles across her nose. No mascara to enhance her tired eyes. No lipstick to brighten her anxious smile. She'd rushed straight from the hospital where she volunteered, completely forgetting about the blind date her best friend had set up. Now, watching polished women glide past with their perfectly contoured faces, she felt like she was about to meet her doom in yoga pants and a ponytail. The notification on her phone read, "I'm here." Blue jacket, corner table. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. Every instinct screamed at her to run home, to reschedule, to show up looking like someone worthy of a first date. But she'd already canceled twice, and Maya had practically begged her to give this guy a chance. Taking a deep breath that did nothing to calm her nerves, she pushed through the door. The man at the corner table looked up, and Sarah's stomach dropped. He was gorgeous, the kind of handsome that belonged in cologne advertisements. Not sitting across from a makeupless disaster in a Seattle coffee shop on a rainy Tuesday evening. His blue jacket was clearly expensive, his dark hair perfectly styled, his smile warm but polished. She almost turned around. "Sarah?" He stood extending his hand. "I'm Daniel. It's really nice to meet you." His handshake was firm but gentle, and his eyes, deep brown and impossibly kind, held hers without judgment. She waited for the flicker of disappointment, the quick glance at his phone, the excuse about an early meeting tomorrow. It never came. "I'm so sorry," she blurted out, sliding into the chair across from him. "I look like I just rolled out of bed. I was at the children's hospital, and I completely lost track of time. And I didn't even think about—" "You volunteer at the hospital?" Daniel interrupted, leaning forward with genuine interest. "Every Tuesday and Thursday," Sarah said, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "I read to the kids in the oncology ward. Nothing major, just—" "That's incredible." His smile widened, reaching his eyes in a way that made her forget about her bare face for a moment. "What are you reading with them right now?" For the next hour they talked. Really talked. Daniel asked about the children she worked with, laughed at her terrible celebrity impressions while reading picture books, and listened intently when she described 8-year-old Emma, who'd made her promise to finish their chapter book even though Emma would be discharged before they could complete it together. Sarah found herself relaxing, forgetting to feel self-conscious. Daniel had a way of making her feel seen, not judged. He shared his own stories with surprising vulnerability. His complicated relationship with his demanding father, his struggle to find meaning beyond his career, his secret dream of learning to paint despite having absolutely zero artistic ability. "What do you do for work?" Sarah finally asked, realizing she'd been monopolizing the conversation. Daniel hesitated, a shadow crossing his features. "I'm in business. Family company. It's complicated." She nodded, not pushing. She'd dated enough. Men who defined themselves entirely by their job titles and bank accounts. Daniel's reluctance felt like a breath of fresh air. When the coffee shop began closing, Daniel walked her to her car through the rain. He didn't flinch when droplets messed up his expensive jacket. He didn't check his phone once. At her aging Honda Civic, he smiled that warm smile again. "I'd really like to see you again," he said. "Maybe Saturday? There's a small art exhibit downtown, nothing fancy, just local artists." "I'd love that," Sarah heard herself say, surprising herself with how much she meant it. Over the next 3 weeks, Sarah and Daniel fell into an easy rhythm. Coffee dates turned into long walks through Pike Place Market. Museum visits evolved into cooking disasters in her tiny apartment kitchen. He met her at the hospital, bringing books for the kids and sitting patiently while she finished her volunteer shift. She'd never felt so comfortable with someone, so completely herself. But she couldn't shake the feeling that Daniel was holding something back. He never invited her to his place. He was vague about his work. Once she'd glimpsed him getting out of a chauffeur-driven car before he saw her, though he never mentioned it. "Are you married?" she finally asked one evening, her insecurity getting the better of her. Daniel looked stunned. "What? No, Sarah, no. I just—" He ran his hand through his hair, clearly distressed. "There's something I need to tell you." Her heart sank. Here it was. "The thing that would ruin everything." "My full name is Daniel Westbrook," he said quietly. Sarah stared at him blankly. Should that mean something? Westbrook Industries? He added, watching her face carefully. Recognition dawned slowly. Westbrook Industries, the tech giant, the company whose products were in every American home, the billionaire Westbrook family who'd been on the cover of Forbes last month. Her Daniel was that Westbrook? Oh my God, she whispered, pulling away. Why didn't you tell me? Because of this, Daniel said, gesturing at the space between them. Because every time I tell someone, everything changes. They either want something from me or they're intimidated. But you, Sarah, you treated me like a regular person. You split the check. You made me wash dishes after I burned your pasta. You fell asleep on my shoulder during that terrible movie and didn't apologize. Do you know how rare that is? But you lied to me. I never lied. I just didn't correct your assumptions. He moved closer, his eyes pleading. That first night when you showed up without makeup, rushing from the hospital, apologizing for being yourself, you have no idea what that meant to me. Everyone I meet is performing, playing a part, trying to impress me or my money. But you were just you. Completely, beautifully, authentically you. Sarah's mind reeled. She thought about the past weeks, his patience with the sick children, his terrible jokes, the way he listened like her words were the most important thing in the world. Had any of that been real? I need time to think, she said, gathering her things. The hurt in Daniel's eyes nearly broke her resolve, but she left anyway. For 3 days, Sarah avoided his calls. She threw herself into her work at the hospital, reading extra chapters to Emma, who was back for another round of treatment. On the 3rd day, as she was leaving, she found Daniel in the children's ward waiting room. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Emma told me you'd be here," he said. "I've been coming every day, reading to the kids when you're not around. They like my funny voices." Despite everything, Sarah smiled. "You're terrible at funny voices." "I know," he admitted, "but they're polite enough not to mention it." They sat down on the worn waiting room chairs, the sounds of beeping machines and hushed conversations, filling the silence between them. "I've been thinking," Sarah said finally, "about that first date. I was so embarrassed about forgetting my makeup, about not being polished enough, but maybe that was exactly what needed to happen. Maybe we both needed to meet each other without all the armor." Daniel nodded slowly. "I've spent my whole life behind armor. Money, power, reputation. It's all just another kind of makeup, isn't it? A way to hide who you really are." "So who are you really?" Sarah asked. "I'm a guy who's terrible at cooking, who wants to learn to paint, who thinks you're the most beautiful person he's ever met, especially without makeup." He took her hand carefully. "I'm someone who wants to matter for reasons that have nothing to do with my bank account. And I'm falling in love with a woman who already matters, who makes a difference in the world every Tuesday and Thursday, who doesn't need anything from me except honesty." Tears pricked Sarah's eyes. "I'm falling in love with you too. The real you, not the billionaire, the man who does terrible celebrity impressions and washes dishes and shows up." 6 months later, Sarah stood in a newly built wing of the children's hospital, the Westbrook Children's Reading Center, surrounded by shelves of books and comfortable chairs. Daniel had funded it, but he'd let her design every detail. Emma, now in remission, cut the ribbon with oversized scissors, beaming at the crowd. That evening, as they walked through the empty center, Sarah caught their reflection in the window. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, her face bare of makeup just as it had been that first night. Daniel's arm was around her shoulders, his expensive jacket replaced by a worn hoodie. "You know what I think?" Daniel said, kissing her temple. "I think we're both exactly who we're supposed to be." And looking at their reflection, two imperfect people who'd found each other by accident and chosen each other on purpose, Sarah couldn't have agreed more. Sometimes the best version of yourself is the one you didn't plan to show. Sometimes forgetting your makeup leads you to something more beautiful than any amount of polish ever could. And sometimes the richest thing you can offer someone isn't what's in your wallet, it's what's in your heart.